Hello everyone, I'm Ish Sodhi. Welcome to the Royals Think Tank, and thank you to all of you who have tuned in tonight. In these very uncertain circumstances, lockdown has taken over a lot of parts of India and many parts all around the world. And at the moment, we're confined to our homes, and it does come with its challenges. And tonight, I'm really glad to speak to John Gloster, who has been Rajasthan Royals physio since 2008. And tonight, we're going to discuss all things fitness and health related. Also some immunity and relieving some stress through these unprecedented circumstances. Mr. Gloster.
Hello Ish, how are you my friend? There's a little delay there, but lovely to see you at 11:34 in the evening in New Zealand.
I think the most important thing you've got to do is look at reducing inflammation in our systems, because inflammation is the source of all disease. And the biggest producer of inflammation, as we know, is probably sugar and processed foods. So that sugars, particularly sugars, bind onto the proteins, and your antibodies are built by proteins, are made of proteins. And so if you have a lot of sugar in your diet, then that's going to obviously decrease the ability for those antibodies to function. Plus, sugar is also one of the main sources of why we put on weight. So for an athlete, it's not a particularly useful energy source. It's very inflammatory. And so that's why we changed Ish's diet during the IPL period. But even more so for all of us, if you're looking to build immunity, then I think the number one thing I'd be removing from our diets would be sugars and processed foods. So therefore, what should we be eating? And it's again what Ish was saying before about what we've worked with him over the last couple of IPLs, is perhaps going on to a lower carbohydrate diet and increasing our amount of proteins and healthy fats. So our good fats, our eggs, our seafood, our coconut oil, olive oil, avocados, dairy, nut butters, olives, etc., etc. One of the most fantastic ways of reducing stress is through our breathing methods. And then some wonderful yogic breathing methods that are available to all of us around India that we all have access to, particularly our pranayam, Anulom Viloms, which I practice daily, couple buddies as well. And some of the really useful ones that I've found have been some of Wim Hof, the Danish extreme athlete, some of his breathing techniques, as well as some of the free-diving breath holds that are extremely useful and very powerful tools for building immunity, but also building a particularly robust respiratory system, because COVID-19 attacks the respiratory system. So the stronger and healthier your respiratory system is, then the better off you're going to be. So breathing methods are an absolute must, building immunity, but also boosting, reducing stress. One of the things that a lot of people have asked me about is, why am I getting hungry? I'm not doing anything. But this is a really important time to ask a critical question is, are you hungry or are you actually craving something? And this is really, really important for us to differentiate between the two, between hunger and craving, because the human body really doesn't get hungry in under 12 to 18 hours. So if we're feeling hungry in under that period of time, it's probably not hunger, it's probably a craving for something. Most of us are addicted to some form of sugars, because sugars trigger the same reward centers in the brain as do most recreational drugs. So it's that reward center triggering that we've been so used to, because everyday diets these days are too high in sugars and too high in the processed carbohydrates, that I think we're just craving for those. So this is an amazing opportunity for all of us to start thinking about hunger versus craving, and actually what are we doing, and do we really need to fuel ourselves at this point in time? And let's start breaking those old habits and start instilling some new ones. And I think, like I said, as an athlete, your worst enemy is inflammation, and the source of all inflammation at the moment is our diet, or the poor diets. Steve Jobs once said that the 6 best doctors are sleep, okay, and I talked a little bit about sleep before and how important that is, 8 hours minimum sleep a day, sunshine, water, lots of good fresh water, okay, exercise. We've talked a lot about exercise, nutrition and diet, and fresh air. So through your breathing practices, getting outside and being, breathing good fresh air in really good breath routines. So, and all those doctors are around us. We don't need to go beyond any of those to stay fit and healthy, establish some really good routines, and come out the other end of this COVID-19 phase probably better off than when we were. And I'm telling you right now, most people I talk to say they've never exercised so much in their lives because they have time. I do a lot of shuttles. I'm fortunate to have a 20 meter by 20 meter space downstairs. So I do 60 to 70 20 meter shuttles. Lunge walking, I love lunge walking ish. And I think it's fantastic for core, for glute, for quads, for everything. Push-ups again. Stairs, I think stairs are the best exercise sort of vehicle we can possibly have. And most people have access to some stairs. So being creative on stairs, I think, is excellent. Squats, wall squats, holding squats. Skipping is another one. Yoga, Surya Namaskars, they can be particularly taxing if you're doing them properly and repetitively. And let's stick to things like more of the high intensity intermittent type training. So high bursts of a short burst of high intensity training. I think you'll come out of this better than most. So let's look at being creative within these environments. I think everything's here. I think everything's around us. I don't think we can make excuses. It's just about us, going online, looking at some amazing stuff that's been put out there. Rajasthan Royals have put out some incredible YouTube videos. There's wonderful Instagram stuff being pushed out there by all the players. Steve Smith today, I saw some good stuff. Ben Stokes has been outstanding with some of the stuff that he's been pushing out, and his challenges, his exercises, his routines. He had a wonderful little routine it was like a circuit routine, similar to what you were describing, Ish, that is outstanding. So we would all be, if we're all doing those, and I think we'll all be really, really well off. Okay, so let's go back and look at perhaps when we eat, not only what we eat, but when we eat. And I think this is a really good opportunity to perhaps look at intermittent fasting. So looking at larger windows between meal times. So one practice that I use, and this is particularly good for increasing our insulin sensitivity, particularly for the pre-diabetics. It's really good for immunity, actually, and it's good for reducing inflammation, is intermittent fasting. So what that would mean, and I do it 3 days a week, is my last meal is at 8 p.m. in the evening, and then my next meal is at midday. So there's a 16-hour window where I haven't eaten, and it's actually very, very easy to do. But the benefits are significant, and a lot of athletes. So I remember there's the world's greatest MMA fighter, I can't remember his name. He was talking about intermittent fasting, and he said he intermittent fast because an angry lion is always a hungry lion. So he was at his fiercest and his most sort of aggressive and most charged up when he was hungry, not when he was full. He said, you'll never see an active, angry, full lion. And it's so true.
Thank you so much for your time, mate. It's always a pleasure being able to pick your brain around these things.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being able to sit opposite you, Ish, as always. Take care. Bye.
Thanks so much, guys. Take care, eh? Stay safe.